get to my. Hey guys, what it is yo girl Kadlac. I am Kadlac Dixon. I'm the Joe My Life Prison Life. I'm the legally blind artist that is rapping and painting for justice, hoping to see justice before it all fades to black. Yes, it's your girl Kadlac. Hell, I don't even know what I'm saying. Hello, guys. I'm coming through today. It is October the 12th, 2024. Um, I have 30 minutes now before work. I was diligently trying to set up. My phone was broken. I'm trying to borrow my sister's phone. I hate borrowing phones from others. Others make you know that they don't want to help you like that. Even if you're constantly helping them, they want you to know that, hey, now that I can help you, I don't really want to help you, but so I hate putting myself in position to need others, but trying to use someone else's device to be able to record and everything. And then there's still not great service in the house. But we got about 30 minutes to finish working on this Marcellus Williams that we started the other day. Okay, we started this before the hurricane. We had left and went to a hotel, so we weren't in town. But anyways, we're gonna finish working on this. Will light give me a better? Does the light look better? Or the natural light? No, I think the pencil shows up better with the light. So let's do that. So we're gonna finish working on the Marcellus Williams drawing and listening to Jay from Inside Out. This was the interview I was on a week prior for National Wrongful Conviction Day, which was also Marcello, my husband, who was wrongfully incarcerated in Florida DLC and has been for the last 22 plus years. It was his 43rd birthday. So on that day, I did an interview about wrongful convictions with Jay from Inside Out. So this is going to be part 2, and because I'm rushing for time, I will do part 3 when I get home from work or tomorrow because I am off. Thank God. Whew. Work to live and live to work. Hustle hard until it hurts. Work your fingers down to the bone. And once you pay your bills, ain't got nothing to come home with. Hey, once you pay your bills, ain't got nothing to come home with. Once you pay your bills, ain't got nothing to come home with. It's your girl Kadlac. But when you working to live and living to work, you ain't got much time to serve your life's purpose. But I'm trying to squeeze it in. So let's continue with the interview and let's get started.
Times more higher rates. Yeah. I think that's what it said on the info sheet I sent you, Jay.
Yeah.
It's more higher rates than any other race.
Yeah, and we know we don't have a race problem at all. No, I'm just saying because it just seems like it is. It has that little trying to find the right word without something weird. We have it, and I'm so sick and tired of everything being the race card. There's no sense in it. I can't stand this race stuff. But again, nonetheless, I guess you could say it's all money. Like Tammy said, I believe it's also political to a certain extent. It's got a lot of things. But the reason why I asked you that question is because according to this, it says, how many innocent people are in prison? Innocent also ties into wrongful convictions because, obviously. It says here, it's difficult to know for sure, so nobody really knows the answer. But according to some research, it's 2.3%. And 5% of prisoners in the U.S. are actually innocent. That's pretty dang high.
Could be you too.
That's a ridiculous number.
That's
And this is going to go
innocent
up.
self in there.
So, yeah, absolutely.
They follow the same protocols. It's kind of, I started after a while not having a lot of success with my husband's case and all the things and the ground that I paid. I'm like, well, now this is kind of becoming pointless because half of his conviction is behind us and he has about maybe 13 to 14 more years to do. And by the time I break his story, that time would have lapsed. Started saying, well, let me start studying other wrongful convictions. So that's what I do now. I study many people's wrongful convictions and review them. Those that have been exonerated, those that are in the process, and the ones that I really have the heart for are the ones in petition phase where they're not even being heard.
I have a whole purpose and point, but by the time I explain it, go through the woods to explain the backdrop of it, I forget what I'm saying. But I did remember later.
Your opinion on it was, but
I'm
I
sorry.
appreciate. No, you're good. I appreciate it because it's like it's shocking and very sad news nonetheless. And of course, keep in mind, guys, the numbers are going to go up. So you think it's low now? Just wait.
Oh,
Well,
It's
what about,
the same thing.
how does
Yeah.
your daughter,
Oh, sorry.
I'm so sorry, how does your daughter feel? Like, what is her stance, since she's young and she's obviously a young adult that can vote now? What is her, like, stance on the whole justice system? How does she look at it compared to someone that hasn't been in contact, you know? What is her thought?
Oh, she doesn't believe in it at all. So I was kind of younger than she is. She's 23 now when this all happened. So I believed in it. And she's like, she sees that, no, it doesn't,
Trying to find a picture.
for me, it's a hoop dream. It doesn't really work.
Yeah.
But yeah, she knows her father is prison, visiting him. That's the only way she knows, from 9 months to 23 years. And now we're bringing our grandchildren to visit him. So now he's being introduced to the next generation through prison visits.
Okay, because I was going to ask you how your daughter is taking your husband's incarceration. Is your kids taking it okay?
So yeah, we only got to have one because they kind of.
My bad. Sorry.
They snatched him right at the beginning of us even starting our family. So she grew up attached to him because of that bonding time, and I never stopped taking him. Florida is big and wide. He's been in the Panhandle, he's been down by Miami, he's been Tallahassee, Jacksonville, he's been everywhere, and I've never not taken her to see him. And I always felt like I wanted her to decide whether she wanted him in her life or not. That was not my decision. So I always made sure they had that bond. But as she got a little older, she started saying, oh, we're going to Daddy's house. Oh, I can't wait to go to Daddy's house. And then as she got a little older, she's like, well, Daddy, when you coming home? And he would always say, I hope soon, and I hope this is the last institution I'm at. And it started going from that to, she had a lot of difficulty in school behind it. She would go to school and she would cry, and the counselors would tell me that they don't know what to do about her, or she's crying and saying, I want my daddy, I want my daddy.
Yeah, my daughter did it. My daughter did that.
And I remember one time, this instance, that I went to pick her up, and she came away with her friends, and she was like, see, I do got a daddy, I have a daddy, which it was my cousin. And she was trying to pretend that he was her father, because all the kids were asking, like, why don't you have a father? But we have stepfathers and fathers and stuff like that. And then she went into being cold and kind of angry and always depressed and things like that. She went into teenage years.
Yeah.
What a quinky dink. Same thing with me.
And now she's a young adult, and he's very close to home now, 30 minutes away. And she's like, oh, I love my dad. I'm like, okay. But she's making the visits and everything for all of us each week. Yeah.
And that's heart-wrenching too. He's probably been moved several times, I'm sure, while he's been in there. And they make it really hard on you, don't they? Yeah.
Yes. And each institution, I find the ones in the Panhandle are harder to deal with than the ones that are closer into like Central Florida. In the Panhandle, it's not even just the traveling and things like that. I hate to say that word, but the R-isms is very prevalent more in the
because it's lower Alabama. They call it LA. I mean, I was born in Montgomery, even though I'm a military brat, so I'm very aware, and I lived very close to that area, and there is that issue down in that part. I mean, not everybody's like that, but there's, I've heard the prisons are pretty rough in the Panhandle for that reason.
Yeah, it's no lie, Tammy. You hit that right on the nail. Out here in the deep south, no matter where at, upper or down here where I'm at, anywhere out here, it's very hard on inmates. Absolutely, very brutal. They don't play down here. They don't play like they do. It's different up north, but like I said, it's pretty strict down here. But with that being said, let's go ahead and do the share screen. I want to make sure I get it up first, but let me find it before I go any further, guys. I want to make sure I get this up and ready. Where is it? Here it is. All right. Let me zoom in. I gotta bear with me 1 second.
Hi Curtis, hi Trey, I saw you guys come in a little late.
Yeah, thank you, Tammy.
We appreciate you guys, and what I asked everybody else, would you guys please do me a favor and like and share this with as many people as you can. We're trying to bring attention to this case in particular. As well as it does put wrongful convictions on the map for some people that have no clue or clueless to what the injustice system is like.
I love it, injustice system.
Again, everybody in the chat, thank you guys so much for being here. I meant to say it earlier, but I didn't want to interrupt. But Curtis, everybody, thank you guys so much for being here. Let's go ahead and get into the, where did it go now? Kansas district. Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's considered the South in a sense, or at least Midwest.
Kansas.
Anyways, with that, let's go ahead and get into the share screen and show the data now. And what you guys are going to see here tonight is more proof in the pudding that what me and Kadlac and Tammy and everybody else have been talking about. Here it is. This is basically general information about wrongful convictions and what causes it in the first place. I hope you guys can see it. Shout out real quick, everybody in the chat and in
the biggest reason for wrongful conviction is eyewitness misidentification, and the second reason is prosecutorial misconduct. Two things that really should not happen. But those are the leading causes of wrongful convictions.
the panel. Can you guys see this?
I'm sorry, I can't, it's a blur for me, I'm legally blind, so I would have to literally be all in the camera to see it.
Okay, I understand. I just want to make sure it's up on the screen. Tammy, can you see it?
I can, I'm so sorry.
You're good, no worries. I'm just gonna read some stuff off real quick and I'll come back into the studio. But it says this, guys, how many innocent people are in prison, question mark. And it says here, guys, pay attention, it's difficult to know for sure, but studies estimate that between 2.3% and 5% of prisoners in the US are innocent. I said that before, just in my small county, which was, my county jail holds about 2,000 souls on a busy day, I guess, and it's 35% of innocent people behind that jail. Moving on here real quick, what causes wrongful convictions? And I think a lot of you guys are going to be surprised on the answer. Here it is. Common causes include false or misleading forensic evidence. Yeah, absolutely. Pay attention to this, guys. Please take notes if need to. Mistaken eyewitness identifications and jailhouse informants. Yeah, imagine that. So that tells you right there,
And another thing that plays into the mistaken identity is that the coercion that comes behind the victim of the crime IDing somebody. Just like if you look at Kevin Strickland's case, the victim actually, there were several perpetrators in her crime, and she believed that she never came up with Kevin Strickland's name in the first place. She never mentioned him, never nothing. And the officers picked him up and said, "Are you sure it can't be him? You sure it's not Kevin? You sure it's not Kevin Strickland?" She knew Kevin Strickland. And Kevin Strickland was up there like, "Oh, I know she's not gonna, pinpoint me because she knows me. She know it wasn't me." And it was like the coercion from officers. She came back later in her life saying that she knows it's not him. She was coerced by officers to implicate him. And she advocated for the rest of her life until she passed away, the victim in the crime against her. Until she passed away, she advocated for Kevin Strickland being released to be exonerated. Well, in the same place from Marcellus Williams, the same governor denied Kevin Strickland being released because even the district attorney came forward and was like, the prosecutor was like, no, we don't believe that it is Kevin Strickland. There's like no way that Kevin Strickland could have committed this crime. And that governor said that innocence is not a reason to be released. It came, and if you watch his story, it was so sad because his health had declined being in prison wrongfully. Being in prison, period, anybody, they do not take care of our loved ones the way that they should be. Especially all our tax dollars that are going towards it and all the money that the family pours into this system. They should be taking care of our loved ones, but yet they're not. Their healths are declining. And because he was incarcerated wrongfully, he ended up with back problems and issues and stuff. And then having to sleep on that bed. Can you imagine? I have 3 herniated discs in my neck. My vertebrae is just about bone on bone. I have arthritis. I have all kinds of stuff. I cannot imagine sleeping on a freaking, it is a shelf. It's not even like a bed. But can you imagine having that many health problems and that's where he has to sleep? Like, they would not release him. And it wasn't until media got behind him and people demanded, people raised money. And when they released him, it came to find out that he could not get paid for all those 43 years he spent of his life wrongfully behind bars, the same place that Marcellus Williams' case comes out of. That's why I say they still need to work to exonerate Marcellus Williams. Post-mortem, they need to still try to exonerate him. And he's a representation. That was 2 stories that hit the light. You know it's more. You know it's more people in that same system that was convicted by that same district attorney way back when, by the same officers, the same players in the game. You know they wrongfully convicted some other people. And those people are still there, or they could have been, X'd out like Marcellus. But their stories need to be heard. Because it's not just a one-off. It's never a one-off. It's a mini-off. But yeah.
There's this problem in itself, by itself, that causes these wrongful convictions, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely. Let's go ahead and move on real quick. I'll make this short and sweet. How can a wrongful conviction be overturned? That's a great question.
Jesus himself got to do it.
A wrongful conviction can be overturned if new evidence, and keep in mind the recent execution of that gentleman that just got executed, they had new evidence. And it says right here. Yeah, I'm sorry, I apologize. Thank you, Tammy. With that, and here it is. It says here, overturn if new evidence is discovered. They didn't do that.
So they
Such as DNA, evidence, or if prosecutorial misconduct is shown.
Prosecutor
Obviously,
misconduct
whatever evidence
was shown in that case of Marcellus Williams. Prosecutor misconduct. So why did they not stay his day of demise? They should have stayed it until they worked through the whole evidence. That was too quick. Even if it found later, once they went through the DNA and it found that yes, it is Marcellus Williams, they would have played through the motions of justice. That would have been justice served. But they deleted him before they can even get to that point. That is not justice. That's like convicting you before even going to your court date. They do that too. They already know you ain't gonna win that trial. But that's still not per justice. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. What's that, Tammy?
happens all the time.
Yeah, absolutely
You
does.
get it wrong.
Yeah.
Correct. All right, moving down the list, guys, real quick. What are the damages of wrongful conviction? This one kind of touches
Irreparable damages.
Victims of wrongful convictions can experience a range of damages, including, and here they are. Number one, loss of property and assets. Incarceration ruins everything. Okay? Loss of relationships, absolutely.
And it ruins the person's whole life, entire life, because even after you've served your time, you're not accepted back into society. You can't vote, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't find housing. It's jobs that are off limits for a lifetime because you were now a convicted felon, but now you've gotten out and you're a returned citizen. So it's like, okay, so once you're a citizen, law-abiding citizen, and then you go into prison, they then deem you a convicted felon, right? So once you've done your time for your crime that you did or did not do, once you've done your time, why don't you come back and your status is why don't you come back as a law-abiding citizen? Right? Because you paid your dues to society. The dues you owed or didn't owe. You paid them to society, so now you should be whole again. But they don't see it that way. And the reason, I believe, is so that you can return back to prison. Prison is an industry. It's an industry. And it needs product.
Damage to social status and reputation. Yep. Loss of career, your job. Health concerns, including mental health issues.
Oh,
absolutely,
yes,
I'm gonna agree.
That part.
Next down the list, guys.
Turn the same person crazy.
Dang it, I apologize. Let me see. Okay, let's see. Are innocent.
Can a victim of a wrongful conviction file a lawsuit?
Yeah.
Right about that one.
So, according to this information, again, you guys can go right here and tap this, and it says capital D News or dnews.org. There it is, and it will take you to another site talking about this. So there it is, guys.
It says, can a victim of wrongful conviction file a lawsuit? Yes, a victim of wrongful conviction can file a civil suit against the police officers or prosecutors who were involved in their case.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, did you hear that? They can file lawsuits against them. So there is a reason, that's another reason, not the only reason, but that's another reason why they obstruct wrongfully convicted people from getting justice. Because once you're deemed wrongfully convicted, there are consequences to the people that have wrongfully incarcerated you. And they want to evade those consequences, right? So that's why it is easier for a person that is guilty of their crime to get out of prison than a person that did no crime. They're not going to let you out and have you live to tell the tale of what happened unjustly to you. They make it hard as jail. But if they had to pay those consequences, they would take more care how they affect and how they rule over other people's lives. They would actually play through the actual realms of justice and the rules, like I said, Uno, everybody changes the rules of Uno. And I gave this analogy where I say I'm playing Uno by the box. I just took the rules out, read the rules, justice, the Constitution, the law. I Uno, and then you say, no, I win because this is how me and my mom and them play Uno. Or my friend and me play Uno this way. So I win and you actually lose. They change the rules as you're playing the game. So you can't really win the game because the rules are being changed on you as you're playing the game. That's not true justice, but that's what our justice really looks like That's what it really is. It is not until you sit down to play till you sit in that hot seat do you realize, oh, hold on, what is it? You changing the rules. I have newly discovered evidence. You're supposed to hear my evidence. That is supposed to stop this and get me a new trial. They changed the rules.
Abolish qualified immunity, guys. Because that's gonna stop a lot of this nonsense, because when these police officers, and my father was a cop, so I'm not knocking all police officers, but I'm telling you right now, the ones that purposely do this crap, we can go after them and their assets and their private property and their livelihood. And we can go after the judges.
They would get
go
some
after
act
people
right.
that are wrong and do
They would
wrong
get some act right.
deeds, crooked politics on these cases and things like that. And when their neck is on the line, they're gonna be a little less likely to wanna do those things.
Yeah.
It will stop a lot of corruption.
Absolutely, Tammy. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate that. Because again, you hit something that I also am very adamant on trying to hopefully get rid of, if that makes any sense. And that's, again, Tammy hit on it, is qualified immunity. Because again, if we get rid of that, then we can go after these people that are causing these issues personally. You see what I'm saying? So
They're protected
Yeah.
right now. The Supreme Court pulled the fast.
And we, the citizens, protect them because when people come forward and tell of their misconduct, we know there's no way they didn't know. Don't say that about our officers. Don't say that about. But if it were you, these same people that you love so much and you hold in high regard without knowing if they are or aren't. Not everybody is doing it, but there are some that are not doing their job the way they're supposed to. But when we call out those that aren't doing their job the way they're supposed to, you take that, oh no, there's no way, they're not doing that. They're the officers and they justice and all that stuff. But not knowing if it were you against them, they're not gonna do all of that for you. They are not finna do all that for you. They ain't finna go hard for you like that. And it'll be your word against their word. And their word is like it came straight from God's lips. Straight from God's lips. I have a video, I gotta dig it out because I have so many thousands of videos, where I was saying how the officers should have handled my husband's case. How they mishandled my husband's case versus how they should have handled it if they were those law-abiding, law-upholding officers. So it's a versus. Yes. And it's some upholding it, and it's some that's not. And usually there's more than one officer tied to a case. So there could be one or two. I really honestly believe the woman officer that was tied to my husband's case did not want to go through with that mess that they were doing, railroading my husband. I honestly believe she did not want to go through with it. The other male officer, the one male officer, I believe that was his track. That's what he did. There's another case that comes later of some stuff he did. And I believe my husband's case put the battery in his back because he was a fairly new officer before he wrongfully arrested my husband. Fairly new. And that put a battery in his back. My husband may not have been the first time he wrongfully arrested somebody, but it gave him that confidence that, hey, I can arrest who I want and it will stick. And everyone will back me all the way up to conviction. Because he kept doing it. There's another story of injustice tied to that same officer. So he was the lead of it. But then the ride along, the guy that was with him, that officer, they have him as having all these honors and this and that. And he may not have wanted to do it. He didn't do it himself, but he went along with it. And the lady officer, I can't find nothing on her. I don't even think she's an officer now. They also had things going on as I was researching in our our police department, where they were saying that when women were coming forward about things, that they were being shut down, they were being silenced, they were being retaliated against when they were bringing things to the forefront. So I don't know if she was part of that or what, but I don't think she's an officer anymore. And I really don't think she wanted to go along with that. And she's the one that kept slipping up in court. And she would say the truth, and then they would be like, oh, hold on. So and then that's when she'll flip and kind of go along with the narrative that the other officers were doing. Even though their stories did not align. The truth, even though, okay, if a scenario happened, we might remember different details. We might tell the story differently in different words from different vantage points, but the story should still somewhat vaguely be the same. Theirs didn't align. It did not align. I think I'm gonna have to stop, guys, because I cannot be late to work again. Like I said, we just had the hurricane and the traffic patterns, the traffic lights. We still got a lot of state troopers doing the traffic, conducting. So I better leave early because I don't want to have a sob story about why I'm late today. And me saying, hey, my purpose is justice and drawing. And I was doing a live video within my purpose, and I had to cut it short to try to get ready for work at the last minute, and now I'm late. Do you think that flies? No, that's why your work and your passion and purpose collide. It is very hard to do both, and I'm trying to do both. I'm trying to get my project Reach the World off the ground so that it could, sustain me, so I don't have to work so much, so that I can devote more time into this and breaking more people's stories, covering more people's stories, reading more petitions, because I believe that's what God has me here for and why he had me even meet my husband. I used to ask that to God all the time. God, if you were going to break us apart, why did you even have me meet him? And I believe this is why he had me meet him. I was the only one that would have weathered this storm with him. And God knows that, because God made me for him and him for me. My purpose was tied into him. I found my purpose through fighting for him. My whole purpose for living. And I lived, I met him at 18. I met my husband at 18, so I lived 18 years. But my purpose was tied to my husband. That's crazy. And it's crazy that my fight for him, so it's like we're both linked, right? But, all right, I'm gonna have to stop it here. This is session 2, Project Reach the World, Marcellus Williams. All right, it's your girl, Kadlac. Talk to you guys after work.